News, coming to you from the world-famous Parkway Diner in Stamford, Connecticut on this Monday, January 27th, the year of our Lord, 2024. And I just want to give a quick shout out to Steve Bannon and all that he's done, all right? So, in the same spirit as Steve Bannon, also, I would like to start with this to set the tone for the rest of the evening. And you need to stick around because this is one crazy week. Oh my God. Okay, here you go. This is the theme. Now, this was actually done, it's from Donald Trump himself, and it is directed at the president of the nation of Colombia, down in South America way. Now, the hat is of a certain style, I'm just not sure what it is, but the FAFO is something we all need to pay attention to and get to know very well because we're going to be hearing a lot of it in the coming weeks and months. Put simply, FAFO means F around and find out, which would be the situation right now, not just with Senor Petro of Colombia, but all his colleagues in the other South and Central American countries who have been similarly upset. Now, one of the links we have up is from American Thinker, and it's, let's see, thousands of Colombians protest leftist leader Petro, who jacked with Trump over deportation flights. So in there is the most remarkable, and I mean remarkable, tweet ever put out by anybody. It is such gibberish. Oh my God. But it's from El Presidente de Colombia. Wow. Anyway, so this article just goes through the back and forth that's been going on for quite some time now over deportation of illegals and sending them off to Colombia. All right, so there's that. Okay, in no particular order. This has shown up. I wonder if anybody knows about this. Who here has heard of MAGA communism? MAGA communism. All right, well, you can actually find a Wikipedia entry on this. Now, the part that I don't understand is that you have several Americans who are supposedly conservative who are pushing what are seen as communistic ideas. It's a total contradiction. There's something that has to be wrong with you mentally. In any event, there is a name. Take note of this name. The name is Alexander Dugin. D-U-G-I-N. All right? He's actually from Russia. He's a highly respected, quote, philosopher in Russia who comes from the school of thought that believes governments should be highly authoritarian and that there's no such thing as individual rights, okay? That's Mr. Dugin. So here he is sitting with these other people in this article, this wiki article on MAGA communism. It's all very strange. I'll just show it to you one more time. Go look it up. It's really weird. All right, so I want to tell you about that. Also, you know, we've taken up the case for Tina Peters, right? So Tina Peters has been transferred to the Larimer County Jail in Colorado. She's serving a 9-year sentence for her having, how should we say it, held on to what the government destroyed, even though it was against the law to destroy it. Nonetheless, the legal authorities in Colorado figured out how to turn everything on its head and throw her in jail. So she needs to be freed, all right? So if you want to grab a screenshot of that one too, take note. It's time to make noise on her behalf to get her released. We think that President Trump will bring his attention to this at some point. It is a grave injustice, but more than the injustice is the information she has, which will really open up all the fraud that went on in Colorado, which we're quite confident will lead to other fraud in the other states. So there's that. All right, the theme is Trump burning bright. A lot of people have looked back at this first week in the office and have just been amazed at all the things he's accomplished. Sean Hannity noted that when somebody sat down and actually tallied up everything that he did in that time period, there were 350 actions that he took in 1 week. I can't even begin to imagine I mean, if I sat here and scratched my head 350 times, it would probably take me all week. It's just astonishing. So there are three things that I wanted to pick out, though, from everything that he did. The first is that Tom Homan of ICE has wasted no time, no sir, hunting down illegal criminals around the country. And you may not like it, you guys, but gee whiz. There, and why people like Connecticut Attorney General Tong continue to defend criminals is one of those things that, why do you insist? This is what I'd like to understand. Why do you insist on making superficial statements where you make no distinction between those who would be innocent and those who would be guilty? To you, somehow they're all the same. And you're a lawyer? This is crazy. In any event, so I go through some of the good news there. Now, the second item, and this is the one I think that just gets me, and it should get a lot of other people. We remember the shock back in the summer when Mayorkas said, oh, gee, we can't find 300 kids, illegal alien kids, that went into the federal system. We don't know where they went. 300,000 minors who are vulnerable, who could be subjected to trafficking, and you don't know where they are. Plus, he didn't seem to care very much because he didn't seem to do anything about it. The evidence that he didn't do much about it was that within days of Trump getting into office, they had a report that they were able to quickly locate 70,000 some of the 300,000 kids. So it's called stay tuned, because as we learn more and more facts come to light, I have to believe that justice is still waiting for these people. This is so beyond. And then the third thing I just wanted to mention as part of our Burning Bright theme was what Trump did in good old Los Angeles with Los Angeles Mayorette Karen Bass. Now, if anybody saw it, it was a remarkable display where Trump kept pushing her, she kept falling back, until finally she gave in and said, yes, we will let people go in the next day. But she lied again. So UK Mail picked up a piece that shows a webcam in a car where a guy is trying to get back to his house in the Pacific Palisades, and you have somebody from the Army stopping in and telling him he can't go in, even though Trump said that he could. So this was an interesting moment because now the Army individual had to account for his decision. And so what he did was ignore the commander-in-chief, ignore what his boss told him to do, and deferred instead to the lower-level decision-making authority of local people. I'm not sure that's going to stand very well. So anyway, the end of that little story was that the Army officer offers a police escort, which is ridiculous. They should have freedom of movement and of discussion. Now, because this is going to involve the Department of Justice, we do have to bring them up. And there's something I'm going to have to ask. Did you hear about this? They're the second-level prosecutors who suddenly shown up in DOJ. No?
Yeah, I heard something about that.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we are sweating BBs over Pam Bondi getting approved by the Senate. In the meantime, quote, behind the scenes, there are at least 3 individuals who have been put into places of authority, of decision-making authority, who are already pushing the buttons in terms of the wrongdoing inside the Department of Justice. And just to give you a sense, I didn't catch her name, but one of these lawyers who's now working at this second level, if you will, in the Department of Justice, clerked for Justice Scalia. Not bad. So I think that should give you an idea of what we have to look forward to. All right, so there's that part. Meantime, oh my goodness. All right, just quickly, I want to get China, well, yeah, I do want to get China out of the way. All right, we have a couple of things here to say about what happened with China. The first, of course, is that Marco Rubio, more than once now, has made it very clear that the current situation in the Panama Canal cannot be allowed to continue. Something will have to be done about China in the Panama Canal, all right? So right now, I think there's still some negotiations going on in the background, some alternate plans being hatched. We'll stay tuned and see what happens with that. Meantime, oh boy, DeepSeek, okay, the new large language model, ChatGPT type program that has come from China. Oh my goodness, there's just one problem, ladies and gentlemen. The buried lead on this story, you're going to love it. You are going to love it. If you ask DeepSeek to identify itself, it will tell you that it's ChatGPT. Oops. Oops. Oh yeah, that's right. It only cost them $6 million to make it, and it supposedly uses a lot less energy. Okay, but wait, what was your identity again? Oh, so you're not DeepSeek, you're ChatGPT. Interesting. And it's only going to get more interesting, okay? The one plus that I might throw in on China's side with this is that when it comes to search algorithms, there are many different ways of doing searches, some more efficient than others for the type of information you're looking for and how the information is organized. It is possible that rather than the brute force approach, relying on the brute force approach that is currently used by the large language models, the Chinese opted for one of the many, what they call bubble sort algorithms that can conduct a search much more efficiently. So that might be to their credit. We'll see. Meantime, just around the globe a little piece, if you happen to want to know, in Ukraine and Russia, people keep wondering if peace talks around the corner. Well, I'm afraid not, okay? What I will tell you, at least in what I've learned so far, is that, yes, you'll have Putin and others and Zelensky kind of saying, yeah, we should do something about this. But the only thing they're really doing is increasing the fighting. And that's just as an aside, okay? Brookings Institution put out this report. I don't know if I have it here. Please, no. Yeah, I guess not. All right, but here it is. Here it is. Got it. Okay. Ukraine Index tracking developments in Ukraine war. So I believe I have the link up for this afternoon. I will. And this was published on the 22nd. And just to give you one radical example, okay? So Brookings Institution, just so you know, tends to be a left-leaning think tank. They're the counterpoint to the Heritage Foundation. All right, nonetheless, so here's what they think based on their data. This is the amount of land taken by Russia over this period of time. Don't see a whole lot of change there now, do we? No, we don't. Okay, so what's been going on? We keep hearing about how the Russians are grinding up territory and slowly taking places over. Well, maybe it's that little blip right there, if you look closely, that little blip, okay, where they've gone up a little bit. So to me, a chart like this begins to make sense, because when you're looking at the other accounts of how Ukraine has attacked, sabotaged, destroyed infrastructure in Russia, whether it's oil refineries, railroad system, or anything else, that this has caused the Russian offensive to grind to a halt, makes a lot of sense. So I'm just saying. Anyway, there's a lot of other really cool stuff in here. Yeah.
What about the biolabs?
Well, now the biolabs, all right, let me start with the first part since you brought that up. All right, every country worth its salt that has any kind of agricultural system is going to have your standard diagnostics and testing laboratory for agricultural purposes, whether it's testing for plants or testing for agricultural animals, whatever it is. That's their purpose, is to be a support mechanism to the farmers who are doing these things, all right? That is standard. Now, can you take these standard laboratories and layer over some bioweapons work? Absolutely, okay? So were they designed for the purpose of doing bioweapons research? Probably not, okay? But have they been pirated for those purposes? Probably yes. But to what degree? How effective? What are they trying to do? Because you can't just sit there All right, just to use some terms, there's BLS 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, those are levels of containment. This room would be BLS 1. Okay, now if we wanted to control airflow, we would be BLS 2. All right, you have a higher level of sterile technique, BLS 3. Now it's a enclosed facility, but minimal having to change your clothes, get in and out. But then you get to BLS 4. Okay, now answer the question. Are all these labs BLS 4 facilities or not? It's a tall order. They're expensive to run. You got to know what you're doing, okay? So if they're BLS bioweapon lab facilities, all right, then I'd be concerned. But if it's something like BLS 2 and you're calling it a bioweapons lab, I'm not so sure, all right? So I just had to throw that in. Oh, by the way, BLS 4, that's when you have negative. In other words, when you open it, there's an airlock and the air flows in and it doesn't flow out, and you have to wear the suit. It's like those movies where they have the highly lethal virus and everybody has to be careful. Don't puncture your suit, but you did it anyway. You're going to die. Yeah, okay. That's BLS 4. All right. Meantime, what's the other thing? All right. I'm not, all right, I have the article here somewhere. All right, but what the article says is that in exchange for hundreds of millions of dollars from Putin, good old Rocket Boy is sending another battalion of North Korean soldiers into Russia. All right, I guess the first bunch got killed off, so now it's time to send in the second bunch. Gotta love it. All right, so there's that. Meantime, I haven't brought up the Los Angeles fires. It's, I'm just going to say that there's still a lot to sort out. The fires are still going on as far as I know. And you've had a couple other fires that have shown up from out of nowhere. So there's a guy, his name is Josh Altman. He was on Fox News, he gets interviewed, and he asserts that as many as 70% of the people who were burned out of their homes ain't coming back. Ain't coming back. And that's part of the problem is they're still having to pay their property taxes, still having to pay their mortgage, even though everything has been ruined. Well, that by itself is just beyond unfair.
How does this play into the paradigm of using these devastated places to supplant them with the smart city paradigm?
Well, you've heard Newsom already talking about, was it densified? Excuse me, was that the term, densifying? There'll be a fight over that. I don't think it's going to go down easy by any means. So with 70% saying they're not going to rebuild, there are a lot of unanswered questions. I would like to believe that they'll find a way to clean everything up and do some selective rebuilding, perhaps. I don't know, but when you say 70% aren't coming back, see, the state is largely to blame for this too, okay? Because of all the regulations they're involved in trying to build. Josh Altman, again, the real estate agent from Los Angeles, pointed out that some of these houses could be looking at $1,000 per square foot to rebuild. That's insane, okay? Current standard construction costs can be anywhere from $100 to $200 a square foot. If you get a modular home, it could be as low as $50 a square foot. So when you're talking about $1,000 a square foot, that is off the charts, all right? So, yeah, see what? Oh, it's going to take a little longer than that. All right, wall building has resumed on the border, so that's the good news. Meantime, what happened in Vermont? All right, so again, just to review, it was, I don't have the date exactly, but let's just say a week and a half ago, state troopers stopped a couple in a car on Route 91, I think, near Coventry, Vermont, about 20 miles from the Canadian border. There was a little bit of a problem, and the driver, a woman, shot the state trooper in the neck, killed him. And then there was another trooper in the car. He returned fire and he killed the man who was with her. She was wounded, but she survived, okay? So let's just say a little bit about her. Her name is Teresa Youngblood. Youngblood, very strange name. And we're still trying to figure out just what's her story. Well, one of the I put up what I think is one of the better articles on this. It's from it's a local publication in Washington called the Spokesman. And so they got right down to business and they researched her family. They were able to find either her parents or grandparents who explained that back in May, she suddenly broke with them. She packed up, left, and gave them no way for them to get in touch with her. She was gone, all right? So now she doesn't surface until later when we find that what started it was when this couple had gone to a hotel in Vermont, and they showed up in black tactical gear with open carry. I'm sorry, even in Vermont, they're going to look oddly at you if you show up like that. So guess what? They called the police. So when the police asked them, they said, we're just here to purchase property. Dressed like that? I don't know. So that was that part, but they kept being followed. And so here's the problem. Let me start with Teresa. All right, so this is one picture of her, if you can see it. That's another picture of her, probably similar. And then there's this picture from an Instagram account with her name. So she doesn't quite look like the others, okay? Could have been taken when she was much younger, possibly. See, the thing that doesn't make sense is when you look at the hair, right? Okay, here her hair is really frizzy. Here it's straight and tied back. Lots of hairstyles, who knows? But from the Instagram account, she says, so she's University of Washington, Computer Science 2026. So she was still going to college. She said to be 2021. I won't reveal it, but there is a street address associated with her in Seattle. And she, in her Instagram account, which had 0 posts, 182 followers and 214 following, go figure, talked to me about being vegan and AI alignment. Not sure this is the kind of girl I would like to date. Just saying. All right? Okay, but so these are some pieces. Now, let me give you the big one here. So I'm going to hold this up, and you can study it. This is the list of what was found in the car. All right? Quite the list. Night vision goggles, a ballistic helmet, respirator masks, 380 hollow point bullets. What do you think, Alan?
Respirator mask, isn't that what the government told us to go buy a couple years ago?
Well, not quite the same. I think this was industrial scale.
Oh, you're right, like the dust masks that we were all told to go to Home Depot and buy. She's just trying to comply with Dr. Fauci. I don't know why everybody's upset.
Oh, come on.
A better mask.
Come on, you're ruining my conspiracy theory here. So anyway, the 380 hollow point bullets.
Yeah.
What do you think?
They're little, they're small.
Yeah, but they only serve one purpose, which is to make sure you kill the person you're shooting at.
Yes and no. Some people would argue that hollow points are safer
What?
because they don't go through the person. They only go after the target you're shooting at.
Yeah, and destroy all the tissue, soft tissue in the body.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's safer.
A full metal jacket goes through you and hits the people behind
Yeah, I don't think so. So the night vision goggles, that's another nice little touch there. Two-way radios. And then you had as the other part, how the kid had gone into a Home Depot, came out with aluminum foil, and was seen wrapping the foil around their cell phones. Okay, mind you, I just want to make the point, he did this only after they had the conversation with law enforcement officials at the hotel. So in other words, they did not want to be followed. Sounds pretty suspicious to me. All right, well, there's still a lot more to learn. She's in prison. She was supposed to have a hearing in the court today. Didn't hear about it. Maybe we'll hear about it tomorrow. But, okay, can we just draw the obvious conclusion? And the shooting range targets, some of them used, okay? I don't know about you. Black, She's from Washington. I'm thinking Antifa. I think we can go there. Okay. All the accoutrements of Antifa. All right. So I just had to share that with you. All right. What else? Okay. U.S. freezes all aid to Ukraine. That includes support for their fighting. It's kind of like President Trump needs to press a reset button to stop everything. Let's figure out where we are, what's going on. All right. So they may not like this in Ukraine. It'll be interesting to see what Putin says to it. It could be interpreted as a good gesture move if you're trying to create the basis for peace talks. We'll see. Okay, yeah, China. Okay, now, by the way, okay, so here, let me just show you the headline. The headline says, Nightmare on Wall Street as tech stocks lose $1 trillion in value overnight. Okay, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I guess I still don't have, all right, let me qualify this. I don't have the same respect still for Chinese software development capabilities, all right? They're still stealing from us, they're still copying us, etc., ad nauseum. And I think when we take a closer look at DeepSeek, we're going to find out a lot of that is true. All right, and here's the other tidbit. It's just a rumor, don't know if it's true, but supposedly the Chinese Communist government got a hold of around 500 NVIDIA chips, and they've set that up in order to be able to run their own version with DeepSeek. I think the market has overreacted, so we'll see if I'm right. Tomorrow we should see, I mean, what was it? NASDAQ went down 600 points. There'll be a rebound, okay? There will be a rebound. All right, let me just make one last check here before we sign off tonight. Once again, Tina Peters, don't forget her. And yeah, we'll have more on this here, where we got. Okay, the COVID lie, yes, this one. All right, I would need to make one other quick point about this. It has been said, on average, all vaccines take 7 years of clinical review before they're approved. Okay, this is before all the COVID stuff hit. The COVID vaccine was approved in, what, 6 months? It's a big difference between 6 months and 7 years. So what we find, especially if the question is about safety testing, we continue to see report after report after report. How many years are now? Let's see, from when this all started, shall we say, to 2020. So we're in year 5 now, okay? This all gets sorted out in about 2 more years, all right? They still can't figure it out. All these studies, they've been deep 6, they're going to come to the fore, and you'll see. You'll see that we never should have done this in the first place, based upon standard research that would have taken 7 years to do anyway. So on that happy note, I'll see you next week.
Court.